Emma Reynolds is an unnoticed waitress at a seaside cafe who abandoned her design career dreams to raise her younger brother after their parents' death, gradually becoming invisible to the world around her as she disappears into the daily routine. On a rainy October morning, soaked tech billionaire Alexander Pierce bursts into the cafe, a chance encounter that turns Emma's life upside down, opening doors to possibilities she never dared to imagine. When Emma discovers that Alexander's company acquired her parents' business shortly before their fatal accident, she must decide whether to trust the genuine feelings of a man who can change her fate with a signature or retreat to the safety of invisibility, never knowing how far a relationship that began with a borrowed umbrella might lead. Before we begin, write in the comments where you're listening to our stories from. Subscribe to our channel, it's free, and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the story. Emma Reynolds had perfected the art of invisibility. For 3 years, she'd served coffee at the seaside cafe, her presence noted only when a customer's cup ran empty. Her mousy brown hair was always pulled back in a practical ponytail, her voice soft and accommodating. She was the girl everyone looked through rather than at, and she had come to prefer it that way. After her parents' death 5 years ago, she dropped out of college to care for her younger brother, Timmy. Dreams of becoming a graphic designer were tucked away like precious photographs, admired occasionally, but ultimately stored out of sight. On this rainy October morning, Emma navigated between tables with practiced ease. The bell above the door chimed, followed by a rush of cold air. She didn't look up immediately. Another customer was simply part of the morning rhythm. But the sudden hush that fell over the cafe was not. When she finally turned, she saw him standing in the doorway, completely drenched. His tailored suit clung to a frame that belonged on magazine covers, dark hair plastered to his forehead. Alexander Pierce, tech mogul, the man whose face graced every newspaper and whose dating life fueled tabloid speculation. And he was looking directly at her. "Excuse me," he said, his voice deeper than she'd imagined. "My car skidded off the road. Phone's dead. Could I possibly use yours to call my driver?" Emma stood frozen, coffee pot still in hand. Of course." As he made his call, Emma busied herself preparing fresh coffee, hyper-aware of his presence. When she turned back, he was watching her with unexpected intensity. "I've interrupted your work," he said. "I'm sorry. It's fine. The storm's keeping most customers away anyway." He glanced out the window at the worsening downpour. "Seems I'll be stuck here for at least 30 minutes. Any chance I could get breakfast?" Emma nodded, escaping to the kitchen. When she returned with Marge's famous cinnamon French toast, Alexander had settled at a corner table, a laptop open before him. "Thank you." He paused, looking at her expectantly. "Emma," she supplied. "Thank you, Emma." He took a sip of coffee. "This is excellent." She should have walked away then. Instead, she heard herself asking, "Computer trouble?" He sighed. "Presentation disaster. I'm unveiling a new educational platform at Newport College this afternoon, and half my slides are corrupted. That's the initiative for first-generation college students, right?" I read about it. Interest flickered in his eyes. "You follow tech education programs?" Heat crept up her neck. "I was studying graphic design before I had to leave school." "What made you stop?" "My parents died. My brother was only 13. Someone needed to be there for him." Before he could respond, a chauffeur entered. Alexander nodded but didn't move immediately. "I need to handle this presentation, but I'm missing a designer's eye. Any chance you could look at these slides during your break? I'd compensate you for your time." Emma blinked. "Me? You said you studied design." "I need help. Simple transaction." He smiled with unexpected vulnerability. "Please?" Before Emma could process what was happening, she found herself agreeing. Alexander scribbled the Grand Newport Hotel address on a napkin. 2 o'clock? Ask for me at the front desk. And bring an umbrella. I have a feeling this storm isn't letting up anytime soon. After he left, Emma found a $100 bill tucked under the coffee cup, an outrageous tip for a $15 breakfast. Scrawled on the receipt, "For the umbrella I'm about to borrow." Emma looked out at the rain, transforming the peaceful coastal town into something wild and unfamiliar, just like her day had suddenly become. Chapter 2. Beyond glass walls, Emma stood frozen outside the Grand Newport Hotel, clutching her portfolio. The doorman gave her a curious once-over as she approached. "I'm here to see Mr. Pierce." The presidential suite was less a hotel room and more a luxurious apartment. Alexander stood near the windows, speaking intensely into a phone. He'd changed into dark jeans and a sweater that looked casually expensive. "You came. I wasn't entirely sure you would." "I said I would." She lifted her portfolio. "I brought some samples of my work." As he prepared their coffee, Emma arranged her best pieces, mostly from college, with a few recent designs she'd created for local businesses in exchange for meals. Alexander examined her work. "These are good. Really good. You have a gift for combining functionality with emotion." Emma felt warmth spread through her chest at the genuine praise. "Why aren't you designing professionally?" His question was direct. "I told you, my brother needed me. And now? How old is he? 18. Just started community college. So what's stopping you now?" The question hit her like a physical blow. What was stopping her? Fear. The comfortable invisibility of a life where expectations remained consistently low. "It's complicated," she finally said, turning to his laptop. "Should we look at your presentation?" For the next hour, Emma lost herself in the work, redesigning slides and simplifying complex data into digestible graphics. Alexander was a surprisingly attentive collaborator. "This is exactly what I needed," he said, as they finalized the last slide. "You've transformed it." Alexander closed the laptop and leaned back. "Have dinner with me." Emma froze. "What? Dinner? Tonight? As a thank you. That's not necessary. And I should get back. My shift starts soon. Call in sick." She stared at him, incredulous. "I can't just... Why not? One evening. Consider it networking. Mr. Pierce." "Alexander, I appreciate the offer, but our worlds are completely different." His expression remained unreadable. "I'm offering dinner, Emma, not a marriage proposal." The statement was so absurd, the very idea of someone like him proposing to someone like her, that she laughed despite herself. "Fair point. Is that a yes?" Emma hesitated, every practical instinct warning her to leave now, return to her safe, predictable life. But another part of her whispered, "What if?" "One dinner," she agreed, "but somewhere normal. Not a place where I'll need to Google which fork to use." Just the place turned out to be a small Italian restaurant tucked away in a quieter part of the city. No photographers, no fanfare, just candlelight and wine that made Emma's concerns melt away. Alexander was different here, more relaxed, less the tech titan, and more just a man. He asked about her brother, her design aspirations, her favorite books. "Why me?" Emma finally asked. "You must know dozens of professional designers. Truthfully, your work confirmed what I suspected at the cafe. You see things differently. Most people in my world are either trying to impress me or use me. You treated me like a person with a problem that needed solving." "That's it?" His laugh was unexpectedly rich. "When you put it that way, it sounds pathetic." "No, it sounds human," Emma said softly. "Everyone wants to be seen for who they are, not what they represent." Something vulnerable flickered in his eyes. "Exactly." The conversation shifted to his work, the educational platform designed to provide technology training to underprivileged students. "Education changed my life," he said. "My mother cleaned houses to put me through college." After dinner, he drove her home in his Aston Martin. "This is me," Emma said when they reached her modest apartment building. "Thank you for a surprisingly enjoyable evening." "Surprisingly?" Emma raised an eyebrow. "Most of my dinners involve business discussions or social obligations. This was refreshing." Rain began to fall again, the intimate space filled with unexpected tension. "I should go in," Emma said. Alexander nodded, but neither moved. His eyes dropped briefly to her lips. "Emma, I'd like to..." The sudden blare of his phone shattered the moment. "I need to take this." "Of course." Emma quickly opened the car door. "Thank you for dinner." "Emma," he called as she stepped out. "The presentation is tomorrow at 2. Would you consider attending?" She hesitated. "I have work." "Take the day off." The old Emma would have politely declined, but something had shifted tonight. "I'll be there," she said. His smile was worth the recklessness of her decision. "I'll send a car." Chapter 3, Worlds Colliding. The car Alexander sent was unlike any vehicle Emma had ever been in, with butter-soft leather seats and a privacy partition. The campus was transformed. Security personnel patrolled the perimeter, while photographers lined the entrance to the auditorium. Her escort led her to a reserved seat in the front row. A woman in an impeccable pantsuit took the seat beside Emma. Vanessa Mitchell, Pierce Enterprises PR. She introduced herself with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. And you are? Emma Reynolds. Recognition flickered across Vanessa's perfectly made-up face. The designer Alexander mentioned. The way she said designer carried unmistakable innuendo, making Emma's cheeks burn. Alexander appeared from the side of the stage, commanding attention. When his eyes found hers in the audience, he offered a small, private smile that sent an inexplicable thrill through her. As he launched into his presentation, their presentation, Emma felt a surge of pride. The audience responded with increasing enthusiasm as he outlined the initiative, a virtual learning platform that would provide free technology education to first-generation college students. Talent is universal, Alexander concluded. Opportunity is not. Today we begin to bridge that gap. The applause was thunderous. Vanessa leaned close, her perfume expensively overwhelming. He's quite something, isn't he? Though I should warn you, darling, Alexander's projects rarely last more than a few weeks. Before Emma could respond, Alexander appeared before them. You came. I said I would, Emma replied. He didn't release her hand immediately. What did you think? It was inspiring, Vanessa cleared her throat. Alexander, the chancellor, is waiting. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. 5 minutes, Vanessa. When she moved away, Alexander turned back to Emma. I have to navigate this circus, but afterward, I'd like to show you something. Can you wait? All right. Emma watched as he was swallowed by a crowd of admirers and reporters, his easy charisma adapting to each interaction. Later, Alexander led her down a tree-lined path away from the main campus. Where are we going? You'll see. They turned onto a narrower path that led to an older part of campus. Alexander stopped before a small brick building with large windows and a faded sign, McAllister Design Studio. This was the original art and design building, he explained. It's been mostly unused for years. Emma peered through the dusty windows at the spacious interior, flooded with natural light despite the grime. It's beautiful. It's yours if you want it. She whirled to face him, certain she'd misheard. What? I've arranged with the college to repurpose this space as a community design studio. Part of the initiative includes creating internship opportunities for students. His eyes held hers steadily. It needs a director, someone with vision, talent, and an understanding of what it means to need a chance. Emma's heart pounded loudly. You can't be serious. I rarely joke about business decisions, but I don't have a degree or experience running a studio. You have talent and perspective. The rest can be learned. He stepped closer. This isn't charity, Emma. It's an opportunity, one I believe you're uniquely qualified for. Her mind raced with possibilities and fears. Why are you doing this? Alexander's expression became vulnerable. Because yesterday, when you were redesigning my presentation, I saw something I rarely encounter, pure passion for the work itself, not for status or money or connections. I need to think about it, she managed. Of course. He pulled a key from his pocket and pressed it into her palm. Take your time. Visit the space. Imagine the possibilities. The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken possibilities. Have dinner with me tonight, he said. We can discuss the details. Alexander, just dinner, Emma. Nothing more. But both knew it was already more, much more. Chapter 4, Falling Apart, Falling Together. Emma stood before her closet, frustration mounting as she sorted through her limited wardrobe for dinner with a billionaire. She finally settled on a simple emerald green dress she'd worn to her high school graduation years ago. Her phone buzzed with a text from Timmy. Interview went amazing. They're offering me a paid internship plus scholarship at Pierce Enterprises. Emma stared at the message, conflicting emotions churning inside her. Was Alexander using Timmy to manipulate her? She was still contemplating this when her phone rang. Marge from the Café. Emma, honey, some lawyer just came by. He represents Alexander Pierce. Marge's voice trembled with excitement. He wants to buy the Café and expand it. And he wants us to run it together, as partners. Emma's knees gave out. He what? The lawyer said it was part of some community investment initiative, but Marge's voice dropped to a whisper. We both know this has something to do with you. After promising Marge she'd think about everything, Emma hung up, her mind reeling. The cafe, the design studio, Timmy's internship. Alexander was systematically transforming every aspect of her life. When her doorbell rang precisely at 7, Emma had worked herself into a state of righteous indignation. She yanked the door open, only to find herself momentarily speechless. Alexander stood there in dark jeans and a simple sweater, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. You look beautiful, he said simply. Emma clutched the door frame. Why are you doing all this? His smile faltered. Perhaps we should have this conversation over dinner. No, I want answers now. The cafe, the studio, Timmy's internship, it's too much. Alexander's expression turned serious. May I come in? Reluctantly, Emma stepped aside. He took in her tiny apartment with its mismatched furniture and water-stained ceiling. I apologize if my actions seem overwhelming, he said, placing the wildflowers on her kitchen counter. Business decisions are typically straightforward for me, but I find myself improvising. Improvising what, exactly? A connection with you. The simple admission hung in the air between them. People in my position, relationships become transactions. Everyone wants something. His voice lowered. But you loaned me your umbrella, redesigned my presentation, and never once asked for anything in return. So this is all because I didn't ask you for money? Emma's voice rose incredulously. That's not what I meant. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm not explaining this well. Then try again, she challenged. He stepped closer. The truth is, in my world, everything is planned. Meeting you was unplanned. Thinking about you constantly, definitely unplanned. Creating opportunities to see you again? Entirely calculated, I admit, but not for the reasons you're thinking. And what reasons am I thinking? That I'm trying to buy your affection. His voice softened. I'm trying to create a world where our paths can naturally cross, where you might consider me as something other than a wealthy man temporarily slumming it at a local cafe. Emma flinched. I never thought that. No? Then you'd be the first. The raw honesty in his voice made Emma's indignation waver. The cafe deal is legitimate, he continued. It's a sound business investment. The design studio fulfills a need in our educational initiative. He paused. And your brother's internship? He earned that on his own merit. I can cancel everything, he said quietly. Just say the word, and I'll leave your life exactly as I found it. Something in his voice, resignation perhaps, made Emma turn to study him. In profile against the window, he looked suddenly vulnerable, less the powerful businessman and more a man risking rejection. You terrify me, she admitted softly. He turned, surprise evident in his expression. I do? Not you exactly. The way you can reshape reality with a phone call, create opportunities out of thin air. Alexander crossed the room slowly, stopping just short of touching her. What if this is just the beginning? Of what? I don't know, he admitted, and the uncertainty in his voice seemed more genuine than anything he'd said before. I canceled our dinner reservation, he said after a moment. I thought you might prefer something less public tonight. Relief washed through her. Thank you. There's a Thai place around the corner that does takeout. We could eat here, talk more. The normality of the suggestion, takeout in her shabby apartment, was so unexpected that Emma couldn't help but laugh. Alexander Pierce eating pad thai on my secondhand couch. The tabloids would have a field day. His smile returned, transforming his face. Let them. I'm more interested in your opinion than theirs. Something shifted inside Emma then, a wall crumbling that she hadn't realized she'd built. Okay, she agreed. Dinner here, but I have conditions. Name them. No more grand gestures without talking to me first. No more rearranging my life without my input. She took a deep breath, and I want to know the real Alexander, not the CEO or the philanthropist. He considered this, then extended his hand. Deal. She took it, intending a brief handshake, but he held on, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. The simple touch sent warmth cascading through her body. There's one more thing, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes? I'm keeping the key to the design studio. I want to see it again tomorrow. His smile was like sunrise. I was hoping you'd say that. Chapter 5, Truth and Consequences. The following weeks unfolded like pages from someone else's life. Emma spent her mornings at the cafe, her afternoons at the design studio, and her evenings with Alexander. On this particular morning, Emma hummed as she arranged freshly cut flowers in the studio. In 2 weeks, the space would officially open as part of Alexander's educational initiative, with Emma as its director. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alexander. "Free for lunch? Have news." At precisely 1:30, Alexander arrived bearing takeout bags from her favorite sandwich shop. He greeted her with a kiss that still made her pulse quicken. "The place looks amazing," he said, surveying the transformation. Student artwork already decorated one wall, pieces Emma had solicited from local schools as inspiration. They settled on a window seat unpacking lunch. Alexander seemed unusually quiet. "You mentioned news?" she prompted. He looked up, a shadow crossing his features. "The board approved the expansion of our educational initiative to 5 additional cities. It also means I'll be traveling extensively over the next few months." Emma absorbed this, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in her stomach. "How long?" 3 months minimum. "I'll be back as often as possible, but realistically, you'll be gone more than you're here," she finished. He reached for her hand. "Come with me." The invitation hung between them. "What? Not for all of it, obviously. You have responsibilities here, but for some of it." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "I don't want to lose momentum with us." Emma's mind raced with practical considerations. The studio's opening, the cafe renovation, can proceed without your daily presence. His eyes held hers. "I'm not asking you to abandon your projects, Emma. I'm asking you not to abandon us." "I'll think about it," she promised. His relief was palpable. "That's all I ask." As they were cleaning up, Alexander's phone rang. He checked the screen and frowned. "I need to take this. It's Tokyo." Emma nodded, gathering the remaining trash. His leather portfolio sat open on the window seat, files partially visible. A familiar name caught her eye, Reynolds Family Designs, her parents' company. Emma froze. Why would Alexander have files on her family's defunct business? Acting on instinct, she glanced toward him. Still deep in conversation, his back turned, then quickly flipped through the papers. What she found made her blood run cold. Financial reports, acquisition summaries, legal documents bearing Pierce Enterprises' letterhead and her father's signature. According to these papers, Alexander's company had acquired her parents' struggling design firm 5 years ago, just before the car accident that claimed their lives. She was still standing there, documents clutched in her hands, when Alexander ended his call and turned back. "Sorry about that. The Tokyo team needed—" He stopped abruptly, registering what she was holding. "Emma, I can explain." She took a step backward. "You knew. From the beginning, you knew who I was." "No, not from the beginning." He moved toward her, but stopped when she flinched. "I didn't make the connection until after our first dinner. I had my team run a standard background check and your parents' company came up." "Standard background check?" Emma's voice rose incredulously. "Did you buy their company? Before the accident?" Alexander's silence was answer enough. Emma felt as if the floor were tilting beneath her feet. "Were you responsible for their financial troubles?" she whispered. No, God, no," he ran a hand through his hair. "Their firm was already struggling when it came to our attention. The acquisition was handled by a subsidiary. I wasn't personally involved in the details. But you knew about it when you discovered who I was. And you created all these opportunities? The studio? Timmy's internship? Was it guilt?" Pain flashed across his features. "At first, yes, I felt responsible once I knew the connection. But then I got to know you, and it became about something else entirely. My father was devastated by losing the company, distracted, driving too fast in the rain. The memories she'd suppressed for years came rushing back. The last conversation I had with him was about having to drop out of school because they couldn't afford tuition anymore." Alexander paled. "Emma, I didn't know. All this time, I thought what we had was real, but it was built on a lie." "It is real," he insisted. "What I feel for you has nothing to do with the past." She jerked away from his touch. "How can I possibly believe that now?" "I need you to leave," she said quietly. For a moment, it seemed he might refuse. Then his shoulders slumped in defeat. "I'll go, but this isn't over. When you're ready to talk, really talk, call me." After he left, Emma sank to the floor amid the half-finished designs and hopeful plans. Everything she'd begun to believe in now seemed like an elaborate deception. Hours later, Emma found Timmy waiting in her apartment, his expression grave. "Alexander came by the internship office looking for you," he said. "What happened?" "It was built on lies, Timmy. His company bought Mom and Dad's business before the accident. He knew who I was all along." Timmy's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "I saw the documents myself." Timmy was quiet for a moment. "Does it matter?" Emma whirled to face him. "Of course it matters. Because I've seen how you are with him. Happy. And I've seen how he looks at you. Like you're the center of the universe. It's complicated, Timmy. Most important things are." He moved to the window. "Maybe Alexander made mistakes, but at least he's trying to make things right. Isn't that worth something?" Emma had no answer. Her phone showed 17 missed calls and one text from Alexander. "I'm at the cafe. When you're ready to hear the whole truth, I'll be waiting." Sleep eluded her that night. At dawn, Emma walked to the beach, watching the storm-tossed waves gradually calm as the sun rose. With weary determination, she turned toward the cafe. Inside, Alexander sat alone in her usual corner booth, a stack of files before him. He looked as if he hadn't slept either, dark circles shadowing his eyes. Emma walked slowly to his table and slid into the booth across from him. Alexander pushed the files toward her. The complete history, Pierce Enterprises' acquisition of Reynolds family designs, and my plan to transfer ownership of those patents back to you and Timmy. Emma stared at the documents. "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do," he hesitated, then added softly. "And because I love you, Emma. I wanted to tell you before all this came out, but I was afraid I'd lose you. I'm leaving for Chicago tomorrow, the first stop on the expansion tour. I still want you to come with me, not out of obligation or guilt, but because I can't imagine experiencing any of it without you beside me." His eyes held hers. "But even if you say no, those patents still belong to you. No strings attached." Emma studied his face, the face that had become so dear to her in such a short time. "I need time," she said finally, "to process all this, to decide what I want." Alexander nodded, acceptance mingling in his expression. "But what I do need is honesty, complete honesty from this moment forward. No more secrets. Can you promise me that?" Hope flickered in his eyes. "Yes, absolutely. Then I'll think about Chicago. I can't promise more than that right now." After he left, Emma remained in the booth, watching raindrops trace patterns on the window. Her phone buzzed with the text, "Whatever you decide about Chicago, the design studio is yours. You've earned it. No strings, no guilt, just recognition of extraordinary talent." The decision wasn't simple. Nothing worthwhile ever was. But as Emma stood to leave, she realized with quiet certainty that she already knew what her answer would be. Chapter 6. Full Circle. 1 year later, Emma stood at the edge of the rooftop garden, 30 stories above Chicago's glittering skyline, watching the sunset. Behind her, the soft murmur of conversation from the opening reception created a pleasant backdrop to her thoughts. The Pierce Foundation Design Academy was officially open. Emma's vision had transformed the top floor of the Pierce Enterprises building into a tuition-free school for talented young designers from underprivileged backgrounds. "There you are," Alexander's voice came from behind her. "Hiding from your admirers." Emma turned, her heart still doing that little skip whenever she saw him. A year together hadn't diminished the effect. "Just catching my breath," she admitted. "It's been a whirlwind day." "Having second thoughts?" "Not even for a second," she smiled. "It's just overwhelming sometimes. Last year I was serving coffee and now you're changing lives," he finished, "including mine." Their journey to this moment hadn't been smooth. After the revelation about her parents' company, Emma had taken 2 weeks to think before joining Alexander in Chicago. There had been arguments and tears, but also laughter and a deepening connection. "The board was impressed with your presentation today," Alexander said. "The head of the education committee called it visionary." Emma laughed softly. "High praise from a woman who called me the waitress for the first 3 months." "I have something for you," Alexander said suddenly, reaching into his jacket pocket. "A small token to commemorate today." He handed her a small velvet box. Inside lay a delicate silver key on a simple chain. A key, Alexander smiled. To the original studio in Newport. I've had it redesigned as a private workspace for you, somewhere you can go when Chicago gets too overwhelming or when you just need to reconnect with where everything began. Emotion caught in Emma's throat as she lifted the necklace from its velvet nest. You remembered. I remember everything about us, Emma. Every moment. She turned, lifting her hair so he could fasten the chain around her neck. The key settled against her collarbone, a tangible symbol of how far they'd traveled. There's something else, Alexander said, his voice taking on an unusual note of uncertainty. Something I've been wanting to discuss with you. Before he could continue, they were interrupted by Vanessa approaching with a purposeful stride. There you are. The mayor's asking for you both. After she departed, Alexander turned back to Emma. We'll continue this conversation later. As the night progressed, Emma moved through the reception with newfound confidence, no longer the invisible girl, but a woman firmly grounded in her purpose. It was nearly midnight when they finally escaped to Alexander's penthouse apartment overlooking Lake Michigan. Successful night? Alexander asked, loosening his tie. Beyond my expectations. She leaned against him. Seeing those students today, hearing their stories, it reminded me of why we started all this. Do you ever miss it? The simplicity of before? Sometimes. Not the struggle in, but the certainty of small horizons. Now everything feels infinite. Scary? Exhilarating, she corrected, turning in his arms. So, what was this mysterious thing you wanted to discuss? Alexander took her hands in his. I've been thinking about next steps. The board wants me to consider opening international branches, London, Tokyo, Singapore. That's incredible. It would mean more travel. Or, he met her eyes directly, we could build something new. Together. I'm considering stepping back from day-to-day operations at Pierce Enterprises, creating a foundation focused exclusively on educational initiatives. It would mean less money, less prestige, but more purpose. More us. Emma stared at him, stunned. Alexander Pierce walking away from the empire he'd built. You would do that? I wouldn't be leaving anything important. His voice softened. Since that rainy morning in the cafe, I've been reevaluating what matters. Success used to mean acquisition, expansion, control. Now it means making a difference. With you. From his pocket, he withdrew a small box. Emma's heart thundered as he opened it, revealing a simple but exquisite diamond ring. I'm not asking because of any practical consideration, he said softly. I'm asking because I can no longer imagine a future that doesn't have you at the center of it. Emma Reynolds, will you marry me? Emma thought of the invisible girl she had been, keeping her head down, expecting little. She thought of the stormy morning that had changed everything, of a man who had seen her when no one else did. Yes, she whispered, then louder with certainty. Yes. As Alexander slipped the ring onto her finger, Emma felt the final pieces of her carefully constructed invisibility fall away. She had been seen, truly seen, and in that recognition had found not just love, but her own power, her own voice, her own path forward. Near dawn, as they lay talking about dreams and plans, Emma remembered something. You never did return my umbrella, she teased. Alexander laughed. True. I kept it in my office as a sort of lucky charm. You kept a cheap drugstore umbrella in your executive office? Right beside my first $1 million contract. His eyes danced with amusement. It reminded me that the most valuable things often come in unexpected packages. I think, she said softly, we should frame it. Hang it in the foundation office, a reminder of where we started. Alexander touched her face with gentle reverence. And where we're going. Outside, the first light of dawn broke over Lake Michigan. Emma Reynolds, no longer invisible, no longer afraid, watched it rise, her future spread before her like an endless canvas, waiting for the designs she would create.